Hey, welcome to this week's episode of Ant on Music. I'm your host, Ant, and this week we're going to be taking a look at one of those Seattle bands, right? Not talking about Alice in Chains and not talking about Hendrix, who was, born in Seattle. Talking about that band that was in the midpoint there in the 80s, and that is one of my favorite bands, Queensryche. Queensryche came up during the glam era of heavy metal. They're more along the lines of, Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, as far as the heaviness of their music goes. But they also have some really cool proggy elements. They get compared a lot to Pink Floyd. They're kind of like like the heavy metal Pink Floyd. And they really, in my mind, one of the, forerunners of progressive metal. Love everything that they've done pretty much. They've had some funky albums in the middle there. There was some issues, and we're going to get into all the drama that they went through. And if you look behind me, you see, CDs there. I'm going to show you a lot of the vinyl because the vinyl is easier to see in this format. So first up, first EP, Queensryche, right? This has 4 tracks, and you see the classic lineup there of Eddie Jackson, Michael Wilton, Jeff Tate, Chris DeGarmo, and Scotty Rockenfield. And this has 2 standout tracks of the 4, of course, Queen of the Reich and The Lady Wore Black, and also had Knight Rider and Blinded on this one. Queen of the Reich and Lady Wore Black, they really showcased the band's talent and still used in the live setting by the band today. By the way, Queensryche is out on tour. If you haven't had the opportunity to ever see them live, I urge you, go see them. They are fantastic live. I've been seeing them live since the late 80s. I've been fortunate to see them on several tours, and I'll talk about that as we go. In addition to that, they re-released this as a remastered CD with bonus tracks, okay? And the bonus tracks on this were quite a bit. It was basically an entire live concert, live in Tokyo. You had Knight Rider, Prophecy, Deliverance, Child of Fire, Enforce, Blinded, The Lady Wore Black, Warning, Take Hold of the Flame, and Queen of the Reich. So, basically you got the EP and most of the first LP that they put out, which is, of course, The Warning. And I remember when this was the first album I got. I wasn't aware of them when they put out the EP, but I immediately went back and bought it. And I picked this up, and I'll tell you this, as we go through this, unless there's something special to show you as far as the vinyl goes, since there's so much to show you, I'm not going to waste your time. Once again, classic lineup of the band, albums, The Warning, very cool artwork there. And this is where I picked up with the band. I remember, it's one of those albums where I can remember where and when I bought it. It's like it was that meant so much to me upon listening to it. I picked it up on cassette at Tower Records down on 4th and Broadway in the East Village of Manhattan. And this album's fantastic. I mean, you've got the title track, Warning, Enforce, Deliverance, No Sanctuary, Take Hold of the Flame, another classic Queensryche track, Before the Storm, Child of Fire, and Road to Madness. This has also been re-released with bonus tracks. And on this, the bonus tracks are Prophecy, Lady Wore Black live at the Astoria Theatre in London, and Take Hold of the Flame live also, and that was recorded in Madison, Wisconsin. So you have that, the remaster. If you can still find these out there, these are fantastic to pick up. Then you have the third one. I always joked about Jeff Tate's look on this one. Kind of looks like a Gothic Eddie Munster there. Still with the classic lineup. And, this album really built on where they had been and where they were going. You could see them getting deeper into their production on this album, where the EP was raw. The Warning had some elements of better production. This album, this was this was really where things kicked off for them as far as the level and the depth of production values that they had, with so many things added in. Starts off with Walk in the Shadows, I Dream in Infrared, The Whisper, one of the ultimate stalker tracks in the universe, Gonna Get Close to You, The Killing Words, Surgical Strike, New Regal, Chemical Youth, We Are Rebellion, London, Screaming in Digital, which is one of my favorite tracks. I Will Remember as the closer. This is, basic black, nothing to see there. It's one of the original copies from back in the day. Next up on that was also released as having bonus tracks, okay? And the bonus tracks on this are the 12-inch version of Gonna Get Close to You, Killing Words Live from the Astoria Theatre in London, I Dream in Infrared Acoustic, and Walk in the Shadows from Madison and La Crosse, Wisconsin. So you have that on the Queensryche remasters. And then you get to the big album, okay? This was the one that really, really more than anything has become synonymous with Queensryche's catalog. So much so that once Jeff Tate split from the band, since they went to court and he couldn't use the Queensryche name anymore, he took the name Operation Mindcrime. And this album is a complete beast. You want to talk about, production values. I don't know the production values, but with this, you also had a concept album. And they're one of the only metal bands, and probably the first metal band at the time, to really dig deep into a concept. And this is the story of Nicky, who's a heroin addict, and he gets involved with Dr. X and Sweet Sister Mary. And it was so successful that years later they revisited this and did an Operation Mindcrime 2. We'll take a look at that as well. This is, basic vinyl. They put it out on two EPs. Two LPs. You can see the band there with some lyrics on the back, and basic black vinyl. So you have that, and the classic opening, I Remember Now, and the Tri-Reich logo. They're one of the bands that's very well known for their logo. It's morphed into many different things. The Queensryche Tri-Reich, which I'll point out to you in a second on the album cover here, and we'll talk a little bit about the music here. So if you're unfamiliar, that's the Queensryche Tri-Reich right there. And this is an album that's meant to be sat down and listened to from beginning to end. And my suggestion is, it's an album much like, things like Pink Floyd's, Dark Side of the Moon, or, The Who's Tommy, because of the concept. It's best to sit down with this in a dark room, headphones, and just let it play. Starts off with I Remember Now, Anarchy X, Revolution Calling, the title track, Operation Mindcrime. Speak the word, and the word is revolution. Side 2, Spreading the Disease, The Mission, Sweet Sister Mary, The Needle Lies. Talk about some great drums on the opening of that track. Needle Lies just kicks ass. Electric Requiem, Breaking the Silence, kind of a ballad, I Don't Believe in Love. Waiting for 22, My Empty Room, and Eyes of the Stranger. This is definitely the best album, in my opinion, in their catalog. This is the top-notch, top-shelf, #1 album. If you're unfamiliar with Queensryche, this is the album to buy. If you're familiar with it, I'm preaching the truth on this one. So Operation Mindcrime, and of course, released with bonus tracks. Bonus tracks on this were The Mission Live from the Hammersmith Odeon in London, and My Empty Room from the Astoria Theatre in London. With such a fantastic album, really didn't have to give you much of anything as a bonus, because it's fantastic in and of itself. The next thing that we have, this is one of the rarities in my collection. This is one of those things that, I got because I worked in radio, and it says Speak the Word, okay? And what this is actually is a little interview that they recorded live on the road in Europe. And it has the questions. It's kind of a way for you to fake having an interview with the band. So I have had this in my collection since this came out back during the Operation Mindcrime touring cycle. They had a fantastic follow-up as well, okay? They had a great 3-album run. Actually, they had a great 4 or 5 album run, to be honest with you. The initial run of albums from Queensryche is some of my favorites of all time. They followed up that masterpiece with this masterpiece, all right? Empire, you want to talk about building empires? These guys were building empires on this album. And, picture the band in the front. It's basic black. There's no reason to go bananas and show you that. And, lyrics, liner notes, all the good stuff right there. And, basic cover, nothing to see here. So you have that. And this has a fantastic track listing. This is another album where you can really listen to it beginning to end. Best I Can, The Thin Line, Jet City Woman, Della Brown, which has one of my favorite bass lines that Eddie Jackson came up with to kick off that song. Another Rainy Night Without You, classic Queensryche track. Empire, fantastic song. Resistance, their big ballad, Silent Lucidity, still being played on radios today. Hand on Heart, One and Only, and Anybody Listening. Like I said, there is not a stinker on that whole album. There's not a weak track on that album. Another one, listen to it beginning to end. Do not press pause, just press play and listen to it. I have this as a bonus album as well, and we'll dig that out. This was a little anniversary collection that they put out on CD. Little box. And this came with a bunch of little goodies. So you have the actual Empire album here, and it comes with a few bonus tracks. Last Time in Paris, their version of Simon and Garfunkel's Scarborough Affair, which if you've never heard it, it's worth a listen. It's actually really cool. And Dirty Little Secret comes with an entire live album, all right, from the Hammersmith Odeon. You got some of those tracks on the those remastered CDs. This one has the whole show from 1990, November. Resistance, Walk in the Shadows, Best I Can, Empire, Thin Line, Jet City Woman, Road to Madness, Silent Lucidity, Hand on Heart, and Take Hold of the Flame. Also has a booklet. All right. You can tell I haven't opened this in a while. Get some pictures of the band right there. And lyrics. No, not lyrics, but liner notes. Actually, it does have the lyrics here. I didn't think it did. It's been a while since I looked at that. Pictures of the band from back in the day. Kind of cool to have that stuff, Take a look at the Garmo's funky shirt. All right. Jeff Tate was another one that had some odd fashion choices back then. You also get some little, I guess, not really postcards, but pics of the band in this, which is neat. And it also comes with a little poster, which I'll show you in a second. This was the backdrop for the Empire tour. It's another loosely based concept album. Not so much concept, but more, thematic in nature. And you've got that. All right, that's a little poster that comes in this mini box. Okay, we'll put this all away. And then they moved on to yet another concept album. But before we get that, like I said, I already read you the live stuff, so we don't need to go into, it's the same track listing as the album. So Queensryche anniversary box right there. All right. Then, this is one of my favorite albums. It seems I say that a lot. I think this is one of my favorites because I actually had the opportunity to meet Queensryche for the first time on this touring cycle. And that is the touring cycle for Promised Land. I got to meet them out in New Jersey, and they were really super cool. I got to say, they were a nice bunch of guys. Very accommodating of their fans. It was really neat. I got them to sign that picture back there for me, which was really cool. And we'll take a look at this. We'll talk about this album a little bit. I have the tour book of this, but I just didn't feel like digging it out. The tour book has this photo on the cover, okay? And you've got your lyrics and liner notes in a gatefold. And there's the back. And the CD version of this back here, all right, there was also a disc that I have of this, which it had a game on there, which was kind of neat, and that was pretty cool to have. It was basically you went into going into a world created based on the Queensryche and the Great Northwest and stuff like that. This is a pretty cool looking vinyl, right? On one side, you've got the Promised Land totem right there, which is from the album cover. And then you've got the track listing. And this is, as I call them, DJ Nightmares. Clear vinyl, all right? Always fun to cue that up, especially if you're in a rush working at a radio station. And this has 9:28 a.m., I Am I, great song, Damaged, Out of Mind, Bridge, Promised Land, title track, fantastic. Disconnected, Lady Jane, My Global Mind, One More Time, and Someone Else. Really a solid album from the band. This also has official merch in here from the record label. All right, plastic head. And Back on Black vinyl, this is one of their releases. And it shows you all the albums that are available through them. Not related to Queensryche, but it came as a part of the package here. And show you that, might as well. Everything is everything. Back on Black does a very good job with their vinyl releases. And I was happy that I got to get this on vinyl, because basically when all this stuff was coming out originally, I bought everything on CD. And moving right along, we have The Art of Live, okay? And The Art of Live is obviously a live album. And this was on the Tribe World Tour. So we'll grab that album as well, because I have that on CD. And let's see, where is Tribe? Got a couple of things that we skipped over here. So we have the Tribe album here. So this was a decent album, okay? You had Losing Myself, Desert Dance, Falling Behind, The Great Divide, Rhythm of Hope, Tribe, Blood, The Art of Life, and Doing Fine. And this, typical of Queensryche, this album, recorded live. They're always fantastic live. You see a picture of the band in there. Let's get that open. This is where they had a change as far as membership goes. This was after Chris DeGarmo left. This got a pretty good track listing. Sound is great on the CD as well. Tribe, Sign of the Times, Open, Losing Myself, Desert Dance, Great Divide, Rhythm of Hope, My Global Mind, Road to Madness, Della Brown, Anybody Listening, Breaking the Silence, Needle Lies, and Best I Can. So you got a good mix of the old and the new stuff on this one. So you have those. Next one we're going to take a look at. We're going to go back a little bit. These are two of the cooler things I have, and it goes along with Promised Land. Once again, working in radio sometimes has its benefits. And I managed to get this when I worked in radio. This is kind of rare. You don't see this too often. This one's called Arrived, The Road to Promised Land. And it's basically a CD-only greatest hits package is the best way to look at it. It's got The Lady Wore Black, Take Hold of the Flame, Walk in the Shadows, I Will Remember, I Don't Believe in Love, Eyes of a Stranger, Revolution Calling, Best I Can, Jet City Woman, Silent Lucidity, I Am I, Bridge, and Damage. So basically covers the EP through Promised Land. And to bookend that, as you've heard me say before, I'm not a big bootleg guy, I'm not a big picture disc guy. This was one bootleg that was really, really, really well recorded. And it was recorded live at San Jose Arena in San Jose, California, back on May 24th of 95 on the Promised Land tour. And it's called Saints and Sinners. It's a 2-disc set. And it's actually well made as far as not only the production, but also, the booklet. Everything about this was pretty top notch. It sounds really good. Obviously, I got a feeling that someone from Soundryche's team leaked this one. It's the nicest way I could put it, as opposed to stole. You got a picture of Chris right there. And then on the other disc, you have Jeff. And one more picture there. And, this covers that track listing of the album. You've got 9:28 a.m., IMI, Damage, Briggs, Screaming in Digital, My Global Mind, New Regal, I Remember Now, Arnica X, and Revolution Calling, Operation Mindcrime, Spreading the Disease, The Mission, I Don't Believe in Love, My Empty Room, Eyes of a Stranger, Empire, Jet City Woman, Promised Land, Disconnected, Lady Jane, Out of Mind, One More Time, Silent Lucidity, Take Hold of the Flame, and Someone Else. This was a great tour. Like I said, those first albums by Queensryche, everything from the EP up to Promised Land, for me is essential listening for the band. It was pretty hard for them to top that. And also there was, you had some changes in personnel coming up, and then you also had the issue with there was a change as far as the, what was going on in music. And the first person to leave the band was Chris DeGarmo, and Chris left after this album, Here in the Now Frontier. And I remember I got backstage to see them again on this tour, and you could already tell that he was really not into it anymore. He was already on his way out the door. This album is okay. It's got a funky cover. You know, Here in the Now Frontier, all the ears in bell jars in a desert. The frontier, haha. And it's got a couple of good tracks. Sign of the Times is good. The Voice Inside, Get a Life. Some People Fly. It's got some other ones on here too. Decent album, not their best, but like I said, you could tell that Chris was on his way out. You could tell. Take a quick look at a couple of things as far as that goes. Big with the bell jars on this one. Picture of the band. At this point, Chris had cut his hair and he was already halfway out the door, going to do his commercial piloting. This one has not been released on vinyl yet. When it gets released, I'll pick it up. Then, all right, you had a couple albums there where, like I said, and greatest hits package, they are what they are. Another greatest hits package, 2-disc set. Nothing new to see here, basically rehashing the same stuff. The cool thing about this, it's got Della Brown from MTV Unplugged, and that's one thing. The MTV Unplugged. I do not know why this has not been released. The MTV Unplugged of Queensryche. There's been some good MTV Unplugs released. Theirs was spectacular, and why that has not seen a full release, on vinyl or CD or video, it escapes me. That should be out whole and entire for everyone to enjoy. I mean, the Clapton one's good. The Rod Stewart with Ronnie Wood is good. The Kiss one is really, really good. Pearl Jam, excellent. Stone Temple Pilots, great. Soundgarden. I mean, there's so many good ones. Alice in Chains. There are some excellent, acoustic stuff, out there from MTV Unplugged, and they've never released the Queensryche one. And I gotta wonder, is it something with the battle with the record company? Is it something because of the state of the band at this point? I don't know, but they should release that. But aside from that, this has, I Dream in Infrared, a 1991 acoustic version. Like I said, the MTV Unplugged version. Someone Else with full band. Myth, the original demo version, which was the band's name before they became Queensryche, along with, they had Tickle the Flame, Walk in the Shadows, and Before the Storm. Other than that, it's standard stuff. And this is even more pared down, greatest hits, the old Queensryche greatest hits package. And another thing that I have, which is kind of neat, is this little box. Don't worry, we're not done looking at the rest of this stuff. Read between the lines, criticize the words they're selling, think for yourself and feel the walls become sand beneath your feet. Chris DeGarmo and Jeff Tate. This is the little mini Revolution calling box, and you can tell it's got like a prism effect on it. And what this is, anybody listening, this is all the albums, basically from the EP all the way up through, where does it stop? It's beyond Here in the Now Frontier, I believe. It's up through that, up through Here in the Now Frontier, and it's all the remastered versions, basically collected. And this is where that Promised Land game is. It's in this box. I knew it was somewhere. This is an interactive CD rock and roll game, adventure game, which is pretty neat. And you can see some of the shots from the game right here. Obviously not the most high-tech stuff. You're talking about the mid-90s. It's got a book with the story and how to play the game and what it all means. So you have that. If you have the Queensryche Revolution calling box, all right? So that gets us to that point in the band's history. Pretty neat, all right? Nice to have everything together. It's great if you're in the car and you have a CD player, pop everything in one after another. And this is where things gets dicey in Queensryche's career, because now we've started with people leaving, people coming. A little bit of drama happening in the band, obviously. At this point, things start going a little sideways. Happens to every band, it seems, if they're together long enough. So, things happen. Now, they got in a replacement guitarist, a longtime friend of the band. They got in Kelly Gray, all right? And he was, doing production and also, playing guitar for them. You know, it's typical Queensryche, but this is not top tier stuff. You know, not necessary for your collection. If you're a completist as far as albums go, like I am, you gotta have it. You know, nothing really sticks out. You know, for me, maybe Liquid Sky. You know, not a great album, but you know, not terrible. You know, it's still better than 90% of the stuff that's out there on the market. We also have the Operation Live Crime, which is a CD, all right? And I also have that. I want to talk about old school. This is old school, baby, right here. This is the Operation Live Crime. Operation Live Crime. All right, this is, hold on, children, a VCR tape. Yes. It also comes with the CD. We can get this out. It's been years since it's been out of the case because I use the one that's freestanding. You know, it's basically the same stuff, same track listing. It's Queensryche, and this has got some information, as you would put it, or basically the story of Operation Mindcrime. You know, it takes place here in New York, which is always fun when you're in New York to see stuff. And this has a fold out of some pictures of the band doing their thing live in the middle. Yep. So this is the first time they released this live, and it's gone about several times where it's been released. Yet another Queensryche collection of hits. Not exactly a band that's known for hits. They did have some, but you know, it's not exactly like they're Michael Jackson or something. Not that I would want them to be. You know, after that, they kind of regrouped. All right, before things went terribly sideways, and they released this, Operation Mindcrime 2. I was really fortunate to see them perform this live in its entirety. All of Operation Mindcrime 1 and 2 as a complete show. Really outstanding stuff. And with this, talk about cool. Got this one autographed by the band. And you see the Tri-Reich symbol right there, as well up front. And if memory serves me right, this is basically basic black, but the cool thing is it comes with a poster of the album. All right there. Pretty neat. And you have the vinyl here, which is basic black, nothing to shout over. And it's got the lyrics and the liner notes on both slabs of vinyl. And just to see, I don't believe there's anything here either. No, just lyrics and liner notes, black vinyl, nothing spectacular there. But hey, when it's autographed by the band, it's good enough for me. And also I have it's standalone. I have it elsewhere. They were cool enough when they released this, have the CD of it, that I had them. They had a pre-order campaign. This was back before there were really pre-order campaigns, and if you pre-ordered it through them, you got an additional booklet autograph. So I have that stored away. So you have that. This was the follow-up to Mindcrime, the original, picks up where the story led off. Not as monumental an album as the first Mindcrime. I mean, it's pretty hard to top your best album. This had Freiheit Overture, Convict, I'm American, One Foot in Hell, Hostage, The Hand, Speed of Light, Signs, Say Go, Rearrange You, which is a cool song, The Chase, Murderer, Circles, If I Could Change It All, and Intentional Confrontation. Junkies Blues was the single from this. It was okay. Fair City Slide I really dug, and All the Promises. So you have that right there. Operation Mindcrime 2. And, hey, they were cashing in on it. No doubt about it. So they released this in a few different formats. And this is basically Queensryche in their hometown of Seattle. It's Mindcrime at the Moor. It is Operation Mindcrime 1 and 2 in its entirety. And I got an opportunity to see this, not at this show. I wish I would have been there. But it was very cool because they had, actors playing the roles of the various characters that are in the album. and you know, it was acted out all on stage as the band performs live. Really outstanding. No real reason to talk about the track listing because it's the track listing from both albums, Whole and Entire, with 2 bonus tracks, Walk in the Shadows and Jet City Woman as encores. And they also released it on DVD. So, you know, you can listen to it and watch it. And with this, there was the tour documentary had The Chase performed with Ronnie James Dio, and also, you know, the documentary of how that tour went by. And if memory serves me right on this is a music on vinyl release. This is on 4 slabs of vinyl, and they are on this really cool red and black and white, you know, which follows the covers of both Mindcrime 1 and 2, that color scheme. And, you know, they're all the same. There's no reason, with such a large amount of stuff to show you this week, to drag it out. And it also has this insert information about the album itself. Pretty cool. And that's all the goodies they had in here. Okay, you know, and this was definitely their highlight as a band, and has been for a long time. Although they have been on an upswing as of late. You know, after this, you know, after they had their big hurrah with this, then things kind of got a little funky album-wise. They had American Soldier, all right, that was one. Dead Man's World, Killer, you know, a couple other ones. If I Were King, hold it up so you can see the track listing. You know, very patriotic. You know, I've got the basically the camouflage, modern day camouflage with the digital pattern. The Tri-Reich is represented with the stars and stripes. And, you know, story of the American soldier, some lyrics, liner notes throughout the booklet, very cool. They put out an album called Take Cover, okay? And that was, you know, still not available on vinyl, so that's why I'm not showing you the vinyl. This was Queensryche salutes their favorite bands, all right? And it's an album of covers called Take Covers. And, you know, this is about as basic as it gets. Just info on the album itself and the songs, and, you know, that's that. But I'll tell you what covers are on here in case you haven't heard of this album. You want to search it out. You got, of course, Pink Floyd, Welcome to the Machine. Heaven on Their Minds, Almost Cut My Hair, which is Crosby, Stills, and Nash. For What It's Worth, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. For the Love of Money, Innuendo, which is Queen. Neon Nights, Black Sabbath, Ronnie James Dio era is a great version of that. Synchronicity 2, The Police. Red Rain by Peter Gabriel. Odyssea, and Bullet the Blue Sky live, which is a U2 cover. Kind of strange. You wouldn't expect Queensryche to do a U2 cover, but they do, and it's actually pretty damn good live. And then we have another live album, Live Evolution. And this, you know, I wish they would put this out on vinyl. This is 3 CDs long. You know, it's quite a lot of stuff on there. Actually, 2 CDs long, sorry. And it has this little booklet, all right? And, you know, some live shots, info on what's in there, okay? And our little Tri-Reich has kind of morphed on this one. And if you look, our Tri-Reich has become an alien, all right? And this has a, you know, this is a live album, so it's pretty much stuff, you know, from their classic albums. You got Walk in the Shadows, NM156, Roads to Madness, The Lady Wore Black, London Screaming in Digital, Take Hold of Flame, Queen of the Reich, I Remember Now. You know, so they have like, they did it in, basically they broke it down into a couple of different suites, I guess you could put it. They have it as the Warning and EP suite. So then you have Rage for Order, Mindcrime, then Empire and Promised Land, and you know, finish it off with Here and the Now Frontier and the Q2K side of that. So you basically show that to you. You know, this has never been released on vinyl as of yet, so you have that, and that was also released on video. It's cool to have. Show you the rest of the videos. We have Building Empires, all right, which has some live stuff, some alternative versions of Queensryche classics on this. And it's on DVD. And why not? More Operation Live Crime, because how many times can you release that album? I don't know, but I'll just keep buying it. And then the Art of Live video as well. That covers all the video stuff I have. It's quite a bit. And this is where things basically hit rock bottom for the band. There had been a lot of arguments, disagreements within the band. Jeff Tate's wife had become the manager for the band, and basically it was 4 against 1. And once DeGarmo left, you had the original members of Jeff, Ed, Mike, and Scott. And as Moore's time wore on, Scott got less involved, and they went out on this tour, and it was kind of like a cabaret show, and it was really odd. It wasn't well received. The audience that it was pitched to wasn't interested, and they released this album called Dedicated to Chaos. Now, this is available on vinyl, all right? Here's a picture of the band on the back. I don't believe it's worth having on vinyl, at least for what they're looking for. It's like, you would think this is the greatest album in the world. You would think this is like their white album with what the prices are on it. I didn't pick it up when it came out on vinyl originally. I'm glad I didn't. The album is really, you could tell, they were done at this point. Really nothing in my mind worth listening to on this. Yet another replacement guitarist for DeGarmo. And basically, Jeff and his wife were running the band at this point. Things didn't go well. Things culminated in Brazil, backstage with the band firing, Jeff's wife as manager, and then going to fire him, and it broke out into an actual brawl backstage, and that was it. At that point, they were pretty much done. They released one more album with Jeff, the aptly titled Frequency Unknown, affectionately titled FU, and this has a laundry list of guest performances on it. Rudy Sarzo from Quiet Riot, which he ended up joining Jeff's solo band for a while. Simon Wright, K.K. Downing of Judas Priest, Chris Poland of Megadeth, Ty Tabor of King's X, Paul Bostaff of Slayer, Brad Gillis from Night Ranger, Dave Minichetti, and more. Not the best Queensryche album. Show you the track listing here. Show you the album itself. And then after this, Jeff went on his merry way. This one is on a funky silver. Try and get this out without ripping the sleeve. It's a cool looking album. In my opinion, it's about the best thing it is. It looks really cool. If you're diehard, if you're a completist, talking to myself, then you pick it up. So you have that there, and show you the gatefold on it. Lyrics and liner notes, and of course the classic Queensryche Tri-Ryche. All right, so you have that. So this was it. They were done at this point. Jeff went off. Jeff did his thing, and the band was left to regroup. And what did they do? Well, there's another band that was out there from the 80s, Crimson Glory from Florida. And if you remember anything about Crimson Glory, you'll realize that they had like these almost Phantom of the Opera masks that they kind of covered their face. And they were kind of minding the same vein that Queensryche was. They were doing this, progressive metal. They just didn't seem to have the same level of success that Queensryche did. Queensryche basically ate up all the market share. I mean, fantastic voice with Jeff, great songwriting with the band, and Crimson Glory just didn't reach that level of success. Not to say they weren't talented. In fact, they were very talented. And when Queensryche was looking for a singer to replace Jeff, they got Todd Latour. And Todd is a fantastic fit for the band. And Todd has even not only recorded vocals, as Scott Rockenfield really isn't a member of the band at this point. They've kind of had Todd play the drums for them in the studio. And they have released, 4 albums with Todd. And, I gotta admit, I was kind of dismissive of them at first. But I've changed my mind on them. You're allowed to change your mind in life. I've given them a second chance, and Todd is a fantastic fit for the band. And you have 4 albums from them. This one is just called Queensryche. It was actually released the same year as this. So, things were already in the works to move forward. And for an opening salvo with a new lead singer, this was a good place to be. It, has a pretty good track listing: Where Dreams Go to Die, Spore and the Slight, Redemption, Vindication, Midnight Lullaby, A World Without, Don't Look Back, Fallout, Open Road, and this has a couple of bonus tracks, which is neat. It has live versions with Todd on vocals of Queen of the Reich and Force. It's pretty neat, this comes, if I remember correctly, this comes with the CD of the album as well, which is neat. All right, so that was kind of cool for Century Media to put that out. So it was basically a 2-for-1, and well produced, well done. Jeff went off, did his thing, and if you're looking to hear Jeff still singing like in that classic Queensryche vein, there is a band called Sweet Oblivion. They are from Italy. Okay, and I have both of their albums that they've done with Jeff, and it's pretty good. So it has that classic Queensryche sound, much like this. So 3 more albums to go, and then we're done. It's a very long episode this week, and I'm talking, so I'm going to take a sip of water. Can't believe my throat is actually holding up, especially last week and dealing with all the allergies. Then next, you have Queensryche, The Verdict. And this is Basic Black. Same guy that produced Rob Zombie, Zeus, produced this. Got the insert. And of course, the Queensryche Tri-Ryche. And this is Basic. Nothing to see. So, Queensryche, The Verdict. The Verdict is a damn good album. A lot better than you would expect it to be. And you had Blood of the 11th, Man the Machine, Light Years, Inside Out, Propaganda Fashion, Dark Reverie, Bent, Inner Unrest, Launder the Conscience, and Portrait on this album. And, you can see things, I think they advertised this, that they were getting back to more of that classic sound. And, Todd La Torre doesn't sound like Jeff Tate, but he sings in that same style as Jeff Tate, and he is really a fantastic vocalist, and hats off to him for doing such a fine job, coming in to one of the biggest bands of their genre and doing what they've done. You have Condition Human was next up with them, and with this, you have the lyrics, liner notes, Basic Black, nothing to see. Have that, and then the band recording live in the studio there. And this is, the lineup that's kind of stuck together. Parker Lundgren, Scotty Rockenfield, Eddie Jackson, Michael Wilton, and Todd La Torre. You have that, and then it's hard to see. Even with my glasses on, you have the lyrics in there. So you have that. Great story about Michael Wilton. Of all the guys I met in Queensryche, he was definitely the one that I clicked with. Very cool dude. When I met him the second go round, we were talking. It was backstage, and both of us at the time were going through an Allman Brothers phase, I guess. And we must have sat. When you go to backstage events, they try to cycle you through. You get to see everybody and move you out the door. And Mike was like, came to me, goes, as we're talking, and he goes, "Have you met everybody in the band yet?" And I was like, "Everybody but Jeff." And he goes, "All right," because he come with me. We go over and meet Jeff, and talk to Jeff for like 5 minutes, and then they were coming, their management's, publicist, whoever's in charge back there is moving people around, and he said to me, he says to them, he goes, "No, he's cool," because we were having such a great conversation. He was happy, I guess, that was in the same headspace that he was at that moment. So we were just kind of chilling out backstage, and eventually, they had to boot me out from backstage because from the meet and greet area because they were getting ready to go on, and it was a cool hang, and really appreciate the time spent with him. He's a really, really cool dude. This is the most recent album from the boys, Digital Noise Alliance, DNA, and our Queensryche has transformed into a strand of DNA at the bottom. And this is a great album. Some cool artwork back there. Picture of the boys in the band right now. And this is an excellent album. I remember when the first single was released, which is the first track on the album, In Extremis it's called. And I was like, holy crap, this sounds like classic Queensryche, and it really does. It also goes to Chapters, Lost in Sorrow, Sick Death, Behind the Walls, Nocturnal Light, Out of the Black, Forest Realms, Hold On, Tormentum, and Rebel Yell. This is an excellent Queensryche album. Definitely worth picking up. It came out a while ago. I try to do shows like this, once every month or so, where I pick a band of mine that I really, really have been into. And these guys really scratch that itch because they straddle that world between, heavy metal and progressive music. And it's not overbearing. Sometimes you get bands that they get so far up their own ass that they don't know when to get out of their own way. And Queensryche has kept such a high level of their own self in the band as far as where they're at musically. And even through difficulties, they soldier on. And I'm really looking forward to whatever comes next from them once they wrap up this tour with Armored Saint and get back in the studio with Todd and Ed Bass and Whip Wilton. It should be interesting. So once again, thank you for sitting here for a long time. Appreciate it. Glad I got to show you the stuff in my Queensryche collection. Click like, share the video, leave a comment, and also, most importantly, the height of importance, click the freaking subscribe button. I want to get this sucker to move up. Let's go. I got to get more subscribers, all right? So as I always say every week, all right, peace, one love, music. Next week we'll be back to a normal show, much shorter. I was talking to my buddy Augie. I says, what do you do after you go to Record Store Day and you pick up basically 15 albums? Well, if you're me and you've got that music addiction, you place an order online and basically pick up 15 albums. Classic rock stuff. Get into that next week. I'm not going to go through all 15 of them. They're all pretty much basic black with the exception of one, so just talk about the music. But that's it. Thank you so much for checking it out.